It's 6:45 a.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Mallavarachi, read by Soundithavam. Warnings have been issued for strong winds and rough seas to the naval and fishermen communities in the Arabian Sea and in the Bay of Bengal. The National Disaster Management Centre says 7 deaths were reported and over 47,000 people have been affected due to the inclement weather. A landslide warning for 7 districts is effective until 4 p.m. today. 5,400 Urumia freehold land deeds distributed to the residents of Vavuniya and the Mannar districts. Medical exams for the successful candidates of the Korean language proficiency exam starts today. In foreign news, at least 45 reported killed in Israeli strike on Rafah. In sports, Sri Lanka is to host a 16-team under-20 boys and girls Asia Rugby tournament in mid-October. The Met Department issuing a warning says that the cyclonic storm named Remal, which is located over the North Bay of Bengal and adjoining West Bengal, has made landfall crossing the same coast yesterday. However, very strong winds to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, accompanied with heavy rainfalls and very rough seas, are likely to continue further over the sea around the island, the Arabian Sea area and the Bay of Bengal Sea due to the active southwest monsoonal condition. The naval and fishing communities have been advised not to venture into the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal Sea until further notice. Meanwhile, the Met Department further says that strong winds of about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the Central Hills and in the northern, north-central, western, southern and northwestern provinces, also in the Trincomalee and Monoragala districts, due to the increase of the southwest monsoonal wind flow over the island. Fairly strong winds, about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times elsewhere in the island. The National Disaster Management Centre says 7 deaths were reported and over 47,000 people have been affected due to the inclement weather. The director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipilli, says that the disinterest situation is easing at present. Meanwhile, the landslide warning issued by the National Building Research Organisation for 7 districts is effective until 4 p.m. today. Accordingly, several areas in Colombo, Kalutara, Kagala, Norelia, Ratnapura, Kandy and the Galle districts are under landslide threats. President Ranil Wickremesinghe hailed the government's decision to grant free land rights to the people as a groundbreaking step. He says this is the first of a move to bring agricultural modernization to village areas. The President made these comments while participating in the inaugural event for the distributing of free land deeds to Mahaveli settlers as part of the Urumia program at a ceremony at the Mojo Festival Hall in Vavuniya. Under the initial phase of the Urumia initiative, 5,400 freehold deeds are slated to be distributed to the Vavuniya and Mannar districts. The Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment announced that 95.6% of candidates passed the recent Korean language proficiency test for the production and fisheries sectors, with 3,422 out of 3,580 examinees meeting the minimum score. The results are available on the SLBC website at present. The medical exams for the successful candidates start today, and interviews will take place on the 6th, 7th and 10th of June at various SLBC locations. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The deadline for submitting applications for the 2024-2025 scholarship program, jointly offered by the Sri Lanka Telecommunication Regulatory Commission and the President's Fund for students studying Information and Communication Technology at the GC Advanced level, has been extended until June 7th. As the awarding of this scholarship needs to be done promptly, students who have met the qualifications should properly complete their applications. These applications must be recommended by the Grama Seva officer, divisional secretary, class teacher, school principal and zonal director. World Environmental Day falls on the 5th of next month. The theme of this year is land restoration and drought resilience. State Minister Janaka Vakkumbara says that many programs have been planned to mark the World Environmental Day this year. Addressing a media briefing held yesterday, the State Minister said that a period of 1 week has been announced in this regard. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will host World Environment Day 2024 with a focus on land restoration and drought resilience, Land restoration is a key pillar of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, a rallying call for the protection and revival of ecosystems all around the world, which is critical to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. That came to you in local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
According to the Examinations Department sources, the results of the GCE Advanced Level Examination 2023 will probably be released this weekend. The Advanced Level Examination 2023 was held last January. However, the results were delayed due to the delay in holding the Advanced Level Practical Tests due to trade union action by several teacher trade unions. 3,046,976 students sat for the Advanced Level Examination, and of them 281,445 are school applicants, while the rest 65,531 are private applicants. The results of the school candidates will be released to the relevant schools, while the results of the private candidates will be sent to their private addresses by mail by the Examinations Department, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
On to Watchlight, the Irrigation Department's Irrigation Hydrology Director Engineer SPC Shugishwara Bandara said, if rainfall in the catchment areas increases during the day, it is possible that more sluice gates will need to be opened at various dams and reservoirs. Addressing the media, he said, 80% of the water capacity is currently available in all irrigation reservoirs, and said this is considerably higher capacity. He said that the Dadur Oya in the Kurunegala district and the Thabova Vava in the Puttalam district are currently spilling. 4 sluice gates of the Dadur Oya have been opened, releasing water at a rate of 2,800 cubic inches per second. Additionally, 2 gates of the Thabova Vava have been opened, releasing 800 cubic inches of water per second, and came to you in the Watchlight segment. We move on to World News next.
Coming up, World News.
Making headlines this morning, at least 45 reported killed in Israeli strike on Rafah. Zelensky urges the West to force Russia to make peace. And Australian scientists discover ancient echidnapus. And moving on to the details of the world news, at least 45 people have been killed, including women and children, in an Israeli airstrike on a camp for displaced Palestinians in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, the Hamas-run health ministry says. Videos from the scene in the Tal al-Sultan area on Sunday night showed a large explosion and intense fires burning. The Israel Defense Forces said it had killed 2 senior Hamas terrorists and that it was investigating the circumstances of the deaths of civilians in the area. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called it a tragedy. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged the Western leaders to pressure Russia into peace using all means necessary. Speaking in Spain, Mr. Zelensky said there needed to be tangible coercion of Russia, which was seeking to destroy Ukraine and move on. Mr. Zelensky has long said he will not negotiate with Russia directly until Moscow's forces leave all Ukrainian territory, including Crimea. His call, however, comes as Russia makes gains against Ukraine, with Kyiv suffering from a shortage of Western-supplied weapons. Scientists have discovered a bizarre creature dubbed the echidnapus, which they believe roamed Australia in prehistoric times. Fossilized pieces of the animal's jawbone were found in opal fields in northern New South Wales, alongside evidence of several other ancient and now extinct monotreme species. Back to the headlines of the world news. At least 45 reported killed in Israeli strike on Rafah. Zelensky urges the West to force Russia to make peace. And Australian scientists discover ancient echidnapus. With that, we conclude this bulletin of World News.
Development News.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe inaugurated the newly built cardiology and nephrology units at the Vavuniya District General Hospital recently. These units, constructed with the support of the Netherlands government, represent an investment of 3,329 million rupees. The project commenced in 2019 during President Wickremesinghe's tenure as Prime Minister. The new 3-story facility includes a comprehensive range of cardiology services, including a cardiology unit, cath lab, cardiothoracic theatre, cardiac ICU, echocardiography, exercise ECG, ambulatory BP monitoring and ambulatory ECG monitoring units. The nephrology services feature a dialysis unit, scan room and procedures room for kidney patients, along with a dedicated surgery unit. That came to you in development news. We take a look at sports news next.
Moving on with sports news.
Asia Rugby has offered Sri Lanka the chance to host a 16-team under-20 boys and girls rugby tournament in mid-October this year. Teams from 8 countries across Asia, including Sri Lanka, will participate in the tournament. This opportunity comes after Sri Lanka successfully hosted the Asia Division Rugby tournament recently. This tournament is a significant opportunity for Sri Lanka to promote sports tourism, especially after a challenging period for rugby in the country. According to Sri Lanka rugby sources, Asia Rugby is pleased with Sri Lanka's coaching programs, performance and tournament organisation, as well as its good governance. Asia Rugby expressed satisfaction with Sri Lanka Rugby's progress since new office bearers took over following a suspension. That came to you in sports news. We take a look at business news next.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු හිර හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The retail price of a kilogram of ginger has reached 5,000 rupees at the Narayanpeta Economic Centre, the National Consumer Front said. Accordingly, the retail price of a kilogram of ginger has reached 4,800 rupees, a kilogram of beans 700 rupees and a kilogram of lime 1,800 rupees at the Economic Centre. That came to you in business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු හිර හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Taking a look at economic news, the central bank has continued to purchase dollars from the banking sector as the dollar supply outstrips the demand for the greenback in recent times, exerting upward pressure on the rupee. According to data, the central bank purchased $469.5 million in April and sold only $50 million, resulting in a net purchase of $419.5 million for the month. In March, the bank purchased $715.1 million, the highest purchases of foreign currency in a month in recent times. In January and February, the central bank purchased $245.3 million and $240 million respectively, bringing the total for the first 4 months of the year to $1,618.5 million. That came to you in economic news.
Weather report.
The prevailing showery and windy conditions are expected to continue further due to the active southwest monsoonal conditions. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the western, Sabragama, central, northwestern and southern provinces. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western and Sabragama provinces and in the Nuwara district. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the Uva province, also in the Ampara and Batticaloa districts in the evening or night. Strong winds about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the central hills, also in the northern, north-central, western, southern and northwestern provinces, and in the Trincomalee and Monoragala districts. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. Warnings have been issued for strong winds and rough seas for the naval and fishermen communities in the Arabian Sea and in the Bay of Bengal. The National Disaster Management Centre says 7 deaths were reported and over 47,000 people have been affected due to the inclement weather. A landslide warning for 7 districts is effective until 4 p.m. today. 5,400 Urumia freehold land deeds distributed to the residents of Vavuniya and the Mannar districts. Medical exams for the successful candidates of the Korean language proficiency exam starts today. At least 45 reported killed in Israeli strike on Rafah. And Sri Lanka is to host a 16-team under-20 boys and girls Asia Rugby tournament in mid-October.